The Old English Baron, a Gothic Story by Clara Reeve. In the minority of Henry VI, King of England, when the renowned John, Duke of Bedford, was regent of France, and Humphrey, the good Duke of Gloucester, was protector of England, a worthy knight called Sir Philip Harclay returned from his travels to England, his native country. He had served under the glorious King Henry V with distinguished valor, had acquired an honorable fame, and was no less esteemed for Christian virtues than for deeds of chivalry. After the death of his prince, he entered into the service of the Greek emperor and distinguished his courage against the encroachments of the Saracens. In a battle there, he took prisoner a certain gentleman by name M. Zadisky, of Greek extraction, but brought up by a Saracen officer. This man he converted to the Christian faith, after which he bound him to himself by the ties of friendship and gratitude, and he resolved to continue with his benefactor. After 30 years' travel and warlike service, he determined to return to his native land and to spend the remainder of his life in peace, and by devoting himself to works of piety and charity, prepare for a better state hereafter. This noble knight had, in his early youth, contracted a strict friendship with the only son of the Lord Lovell, a gentleman of eminent virtues and accomplishments. During Sir Philip's residence in foreign countries, he had frequently written to his friend and had for a time received answers. The last informed him of the death of old Lord Lovell and the marriage of the young one. But from that time he had heard no more from him. Sir Philip imputed it not to neglect or forgetfulness, but to the difficulties of intercourse common at that time to all travelers and adventurers. When he was returning home, he resolved, after looking into his family affairs, to visit the castle of Lovell and inquire into the situation of his friend. He landed in Kent, attended by his Greek friend and 2 faithful servants, one of which was maimed by the wounds he had received in the defense of his master. Sir Philip went to his family seat in Yorkshire. He found his mother and sister were dead, and his estates sequestered in the hands of commissioners appointed by the Protector. He was obliged to prove the reality of his claim and the identity of his person by the testimony of some of the old servants of his family, after which everything was restored to him. He took possession of his own house, established his household, settled the old servants in their former stations, and placed those he brought home in the upper offices of his family. He then left his friend to superintend his domestic affairs, and, attended by only one of his old servants, he set out for the castle of Lovell in the west of England. They traveled by easy journeys, but toward the evening of the second day the servant was so ill and fatigued he could go no further. He stopped at an inn where he grew worse every hour, and the next day expired. Sir Philip was under great concern for the loss of his servant, and some for himself being alone in a strange place. However, he took courage, ordered his servant's funeral, attended it himself, and having shed a tear of humanity over his grave, proceeded alone on his journey. As he drew near the estate of his friend, he began to inquire of everyone he met whether the Lord Lovell resided at the seat of his ancestors. He was answered by one he did not know, by another he could not tell, by a third that he never heard of such a person. Sir Philip thought it strange that a man of Lord Lovell's consequence should be unknown in his own neighborhood, and where his ancestors had usually resided. He ruminated on the uncertainty of human happiness. "This world," said he, "has nothing for a wise man to depend upon. I have lost all of my relations and most of my friends, and am even uncertain whether any remain. I will, however, be thankful for the blessings that are spared to me, and I will endeavor to replace those that I have lost. If my friend lives, he shall share my fortune with me. His children shall have the reversion of it, and I will share his comforts in return. But perhaps my friend may have met with troubles that have made him disguised with the world. Perhaps he has buried his amiable wife or his promising children, and tired of public life, he has retired into a monastery. At least I will know what all this silence means. When he came within a mile of the castle of Lovell, he stopped at a cottage and asked for a draught of water. A peasant, master of the house, brought it and asked if his honor would alight and take a moment's refreshment. Sir Philip accepted his offer, being resolved to make farther inquiry before he approached the castle. He asked the same question of him that he had before of others. "Which Lord Lovell," said the man, "does your honor inquire after?"